Fantastic. All right. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and welcome to MVP Office Hours. It's October 3rd. We're super excited to kick off Q4 with you. Um, we have so much to talk about today.
You're
Um,
busy.
if you haven't been here before, we do usually meet on the first and third Friday of every month. Sometimes the schedule gets a little bit twisted up because we have things like Dreamforce and or holidays or travel schedules that we need to accommodate, and Squire and I are busy people. Um, you can follow us on LinkedIn at SFDCS Kirshner or at Joy Shutters Helming. We've got a couple hashtags we use regularly: problem solve together, community learner, MVPOH. Uh, Yay. We do have some upcoming MVP office hours. We are not meeting the week of Dreamforce. We are going to meet October 24th instead. So October 24th is the next meeting. And then our perpetual link is bit.ly/MVPOH all caps, and that will register you for the next meeting that is on our schedule. We have some upcoming events. October 7th, that's, gosh, is that Tuesday? That's Tuesday. Release readiness Q&A on Salesforce Plus. And then the following week, we've got Dreamforce, October 22nd, We Dreamin' in Oklahoma City. November 5th is a lot going on. Down Under Dreamin' in Brisbane and Florida Dreamin' in Tampa, Florida. And then Agent Force World Tour kicks off in Tokyo. I'm not going. I would love to, but I'm not. November 20th, then London on December 4th, New York December 10th, and Chicago December 16th, which I will probably be at that one. Emma, you're going to be at London, right? Right? Okay. Sorry, don't mean to
Nope.
call you out. No.
No, I won't. I actually won't be. I'm going to be in Scotland. I'm
That's
already in
exciting.
Scotland. I'm having a team. Now there's two of us. We're having a Christmas party and it happens to be that day. So no. I
Of
mean,
course, of course, I call you out, and then nope, not going to be there.
no,
Um,
not going to be there. I mean, I'm just a little bit like, wow, there was because there's
It's
already
okay.
been one.
It's okay. It's okay. I mean, new stuff is going to come out though with Dreamforce, and they're going to reintroduce it to all of the big cities around.
You are right. That is absolutely
So
what's going
let's
to happen.
see. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay. So the next big thing. Oh, you know what? Um, the community is the place where we want you to post any questions, and you'll find out real quick how this works. Trailhead.salesforce.com/community/conferences gets you the list of all the things. Squire, where is the link that I'm looking for? It's not here. This
Sorry.
one, this one, it's this QR code. The MVP office hours community. Let's see. Copy, paste, chat, all the things. There's a lot going on, you guys. Post your questions in the community because then all of us can answer as we are available, as opposed to waiting for our next meeting. We do invite everyone to share their experience, insights, and ideas with the group. Post links, resources, and answers in the chat. If you've got a question, post in the chat or raise your hand. There's a little button that you have down there. It says raise hand, and we'll get you in the queue. Do not share any private or proprietary information. Everything you share is going to be publicly recorded and published, and it's going to be out there in the internets forever on YouTube. So if you're going to share something, make sure it can go on YouTube in the public space. So only share public facing things, please. And under no circumstances, we are not using any AI tools on our call. We're going to have fun, stay professional and positive, and we remember we're recording this session and we want to make sure everyone keeps their jobs. Okay. Next. Oh, that QR code on the left, that's how you can like use your phone now and quickly get to the Trailblazer community for MVP OH. And then I will find the chat and post this link in there in a minute. And I just heard a car door. My daughter just got home. Hopefully the dog doesn't lose his mind. So next, oops, come back. All right. So we've got four big things going on. Four big things. Where did my chat go? Squire, I want to post this in the chat because there's so much going on. And we have another chat link. This survey has been requested. Your attention to the survey has been requested by the community team at Trailblazer community team, and they want your feedback so that the community knows how to make changes to improve the community experience for all of you in the coming year. So community survey, check, done. Moving on.
Do you
Michael,
like me to repost that in Success as well, or did you do that already?
I don't know. We can
I'll
check that later. I might have. I
I'll add
might
a
have.
post. So
That'd be great. That'd be super great. I know I posted it on LinkedIn. Check out all the cool stuff there. Ooh, the other thing on LinkedIn, if you guys didn't know, friend of MVP Office Hours and former coworker of Linda and mine, Mike Reynolds published Slack School yesterday. First episode is out there. It's really exciting stuff because if you didn't know yet, Slack is going to get a lot of attention at Dreamforce next week. So maybe step up your Slack learning. All right, Michael, did you post MVP Office Hours about perms,
Oh,
about your blog
I
post?
I probably tagged it in my yeah. Before Katie, I think, posted her question.
You know what? I don't see
I took a look
Katie
at I
on. Oh,
skimmed
there
the
you are.
article. I was like, oh, this is perfect.
There you are.
Two more on the way next Wednesday and 2 Wednesdays after that. So
All right, fantastic. And then Lizelle, is Lizelle on the call? Lizelle is not on the call, and I'm not really willing to like dive into her scheduled trigger flow on the contact object without her yet. So we can get back to Lizelle, but Katie, don't spit out your coffee. Where do you want to start with your persona framework?
Two things. I got a contractor, so you may hear things in the background. I'm hoping that it'll die
It
down.
happens.
Two, I'm also very sick, so I'm kind of stuffed up. But basically, we are going to tackle moving our profiles to permissions. And we've heard lots of presentations about the framework, or even heard a really cool podcast about how maybe one method is better than the other, or a discussion of it. But we're decided to go with obviously Mike's persona framework, for those that are familiar. And I'm not sure where to begin. First of all, I'm a newer admin and I don't know what our users do in Salesforce. I have a senior contractor that's been there for a while, but he's been a little bit removed from the inside of the business because, again, he is a contractor. And then we're just not sure where to start. We don't want to drop any balls, and we want to do it systematically so that we go through each persona, and, equally, addressing all the things. And there's just so many things. So I got overwhelmed, and I'm like, we all know, what that, like, we know why we're doing this. And Mike has been really great about sharing his presentation and speaking at lots of events and understanding the framework. But I haven't heard a lot of communications or stories about how people are executing this. What are some of their missteps? What are some of the things they wish they did if they had done this before and they knew it beforehand? I haven't heard a lot of those kinds of stories. So I figured this would be a great group to, get some feedback on that and see. And then also, I don't have, I've got 5 years experience, but there's a lot of people here with a lot of experience I'm sure I could tap into and really want to know their thoughts too.
So
Yeah.
before we get going, Pat, you are literally launching your permissions now, like this month, this week, last week, next week.
Yes. I kind of let's say I kind of sort of launched one of them last week. We had a person that they were trying to turn into an admin, but just couldn't be an admin, but had lots of institutional knowledge. And so
Sure.
I made a permission set just for her. And typically, you're not usually making it just for one person, but we do some provisioning thing, and she does the provisioning, and we do all kinds. So she had knowledge of what everybody in the company that had Salesforce did, and what they should have access to, and what they probably shouldn't have access to. And when I say that, the other thing is that we have a very wide open org, so we don't have a whole lot of secret stuff. Opportunities are wide open. Everybody can see the opportunities, all salespeople. So that makes it a lot easier. You don't have to do a whole lot sharing rules and all that. But still, what I did do was used her knowledge. The first thing I did when I got to this company, though, was do that listening tour. And it took about 5 weeks. I talked with everybody that used Salesforce for about an hour, and what they used it for, why, what they were looking for, blah, blah, blah. And then, I kind of sat back because I'm like, I'm still not sure what I'm doing. But I thought about it, and that's the way I do a lot of things. I'll sit back and kind of procrastinate a while until I've mulled it over in my head a lot. And I created a spreadsheet that with all the objects on it, and said, well, what do they need? What they had. And do they really need this other stuff? Like, of course, I hate the delete button. So right away, third week at the company, I took delete privileges away from everybody, and only one person caught it. So then I had help from the other teams. We had a field mapping session. And we said, yeah, we want this to be editable. No, we don't want this to be editable. And so we went through basically all the main objects and determined what we wanted to be editable, what we wanted it to be named, because some of the names are like, well, I don't know what that means.
Right.
So so I went through that.
That's good.
And then the person I made the single permission set for, I put that in last week. And yeah, she's come to me with 2 or 3 things that she needs to be able to edit because 1, she's very trustworthy in the company. 2, she's been there a long time, so she knows what everybody does. And if you have somebody that has that wealth of information, tap it. Just keep, and so I wanted to do this Wednesday, but when I was creating my permission sets, because I procrastinated for a bit, those things are tedious.
They are.
And
They are.
yeah,
Necessarily tedious.
yes.
So that's a really great starting approach. Linda, do you have anything to add to this? Because when we worked on this
I have
at
lots to add.
I know you do, because when we were doing this before it was a speaking tour, Linda, you did a lot of the heavy lifting on this. And so, Linda, would you just kind of step through?
So I will point out that I love her approach. Pat, you did great. Love you. Really starting with like just a list of the objects in the org and figuring out who needs what level of access on those orgs goes a far way. I will say the other thing is reviewing the system permissions. So the items that fall under system permissions and application permissions in the profiles. That is kind of the piece. Those permissions are what ultimately make up in Mike's model that base permission set that you grant usually to a wider group of people. So it's the who can see report, who can export report, if that's a higher level or not, depending on your org and its requirements. I have approached that by reviewing the profiles that people already had, making that list of those and putting those together into the groupings that I need to, and then creating that base. As Pat mentioned, her approach on the org level, that's probably the easiest way. You can always go through and review the profiles that are there and see what people have. But my guess, if the org you're in is anything like the org I'm in, that's been around for a while, people have permission to way more than they need.
Yeah. I think my biggest issue is communicating with them because as soon as I got the job, which I started at the beginning of January, I sat down with the users and I was like, show me how you use Salesforce. And they're like, I kind of click here sometimes.
But
And
but
so
that's
they didn't
okay.
show me all the other things that they do, and I'm afraid to take away permissions and then like folks be upset because I didn't know because we couldn't get it out of them. So
So communicating is going to be important. You know, letting them know, hey, we're gonna try this, and maybe pick, you know, for a given department, finding one or two users who you can test with that, saying, hey, I'm gonna give you this permission set today for a day.
okay.
You know, and take, you know, move your profile for today. I want you to do all the things you normally do, but let me know if you get stopped. Like
Mhm.
where you get stuck right away. Here's the direct line to me versus the having to go through whatever other process they have. So you can get that resolved and into that new permission set so they can keep doing their job.
Mhm.
And that way you've done it with a smaller group. So you're not dealing with 5 or 6 people coming at you at once saying, I can't do my job.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's something really critical to what you're saying there, which is, in my opinion, there's like 3 takeaways. So the first one is you have to deconstruct what currently exists to understand what you're building toward. You have to then start at the other end and say, I don't care what you've got, what do you need? And
Mhm.
you work toward the middle. And
Mhm.
then the third piece of it is, if there were an easy and right answer to this process, it would be published, and there isn't one. It's a lot of work and a lot of attention and a lot of interaction, and it may take months depending on the scale of it. But if you have a pattern that you're going to follow and decisions that you're going to use to help build it out, like I'll make something up and say, like, if you're going to use the read, edit, spicy model, cool, then stick with it. Know that that's your guidelines so you know how to answer the questions or address them. It's just it's a lot. And I'll last 2 things I'll throw out there. Anybody who thinks they can build this thing by what they know is wrong. It's gonna take interactions with your users and the business stakeholders and some analysis. And the other thing I'm going to offer is that in the link that I published in the screenshot, there is an Excel file. It's not much, but it's a good starting point. It's in Quip, but it basically it's a good starting point to help
Did you
kind of
say
tear it
it's in
apart.
Quip? I'm
It
sorry,
is in Quip.
Squire.
No, it is. It's linked to that article, and that spreadsheet that's there is a good way to kind of start turning the crank. It might not be where you end up, but it'll help you kind of say, okay, if I start in this way, plus what you know from Mike and from the interviews and from the everything. So anyway, I'll pause there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Michael, do you have your hand raised for this or something else entirely? All right, go for it.
I just want to add, I like what Squire was saying about like working from both ends in toward the middle. I want to note that you can do them like those are 2 completely separate processes. So like the series I'm writing from the perspective of migrating from permissions on profiles to permissions solely by permission set. You could do that completely alone and not have yet tackled the do people have the right permissions questions, but at least you've sort of, and either way, you could do either one first, it doesn't matter. But either way, you'll have checked off one of these 2, like, I have this outstanding need. And then you do the other one, that's the meeting in the middle. But you could at least, like, just move everyone off of these giant profiles that have tons of permissions. You'll have to still do it slowly and systematically and have a test user who's your guinea pig with a direct line, just like Linda said. But then at least that process is done. And then you can start stripping things out of the either underlying permission set or some of the other permission sets. So you can chunk it, but it is going to just be a pain in the ass.
I'm also don't know, like, I'm worried that I don't group up the personas, you know, not right the first time, but right the first time.
So
Our departments, sorry, Joy, but our departments aren't departments, and I know we're supposed to do it, jobs to be done and not necessarily departmental, but there's so much bleed over in the individuals that we have that I have this individual that doesn't do what anybody else does, and I have this individual that doesn't do it. And I don't want to have all these one-off little small personas
Can I ask you a question?
I'll do that.
How
Yeah.
many users do you have?
Like I think 150.
Okay. If you had 1,000 users, you might have 10 to 15 people per persona, but because you have a smaller org, you might have one person that has this persona. And when they go on vacation, you'll be able to assign their permission set group
Mm-hmm.
for coverage. So it's
Yeah.
okay if there's one person in a persona. If they're the only person who's supposed to be checking this box,
Yeah.
maybe that's a spicy permission layer.
I
But there's a
know.
lot of different ways to do it. And if you get it wrong, it's okay. I have recently touched a project where they got it really wrong the first time. And I'm fixing it. Stuart, you have your hand up because I think you have something to add to this also.
Yeah, well, kind of along that same line. And sorry, I had to check the
Hi,
mailbox
Stuart.
real quick.
Hi, Stuart. We've missed you. I'm glad
Uh,
you're here.
That's pretty clear.
The total other way to go, and maybe someone's already said this, I apologize, is blow it up. To be honest, because when we looked at our org, and we've got thousands of users in our org,
hmm
but guess what? 90% of users have the same. It's not even the same role or the same department or the same persona. They do the same damn thing in Salesforce. 90%.
Mhm.
So why do we have 12 profiles? Why do we have 100 permission sets
Mhm.
if they're doing the same thing? And so, yeah, it's maybe a look at the jobs to be done, or maybe it's just a look at what's the user journey in
Mhm.
Salesforce of people logging in to logging out. What the heck are they doing? And in our group, we talked about this. We said, what if we just blew everything up? All the profiles go away. You get one profile because everyone's doing the same thing. And
Mhm.
then you look at the 10% of times where people are struggling, and you say, okay, well, for those 10%, maybe I need to have another permission set that allows them to do X, Y, Z. And you just go along. And so I don't think it's Joy making a mistake. I think it's Joy making a decision, saying this is the way we're going to do it. And then as we find user journeys that go on a different branch, okay, that's fine. I'll make a new branch for you. Blow it up. Destroy it all.
I just don't want my onesie twosies outliers to stack up, and then I have all these individual personas.
Yeah.
Well, here's the
So I
thing.
feel like
Stop
I was
that.
gonna say I was gonna try and raise my hand and just can't figure out how. Right, so it's late here, guys.
Well,
so
waving
I'm
is good,
sorry,
Emma.
Joy.
Waving is good. Tell us.
So what
Because
I was gonna say as well, Katie, is I've sat through Mike's session more than once, and I love the whole persona thing. But equally, there might be a level of being sure that's the right way to go. Like to Stuart's point, you might have this is the permission, like we've got a profile. Now, Louise Lockie would tell you your profile has nothing in it. You then have a permission set that has base permissions, which might be your 90% to Stuart's point. Like it depends what sort of org you're in, but you might have like this is all the base. And then actually you might want to think of it another way of actually what do my additional permission sets do? So it depends what sort of org you're in, right? But I know some of the orgs I work in were better having a permission set that is like, this permission set gives the ability to delete this object because, oh my
Spicy.
God, yeah, like no one wants to be able to delete stuff,
spicy.
but there might be a case of actually this person needs to. And it's easier to understand maybe for people in the future. So think about you coming in, Katie, into your role. As much as I love Mike's thing, and if someone's going to throw at me documentation, which I get, but equally, is it easier to be like, this permission set clearly gives this person the permission to delete that, or gives them the permission to export reports, or like, where do you go with that? Like, that's my other take on that. And kind of that naming, because if you were to come in a year's time as a new person and be like, oh, that is a permission set for the persona of X, how do I have any idea what that person actually does as a role? And how do I know that that role doesn't just become the same permission as that role and that role and that role and that role? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. there's a lot of moving pieces. And I think before you worry about those outliers that are going to like stack up, you don't have to do it all at once.
Mhm.
Those people can keep whatever they have today until you're ready to do the full analysis with them. Steve, enjoy Rufus for a moment. I can't wait to hear more. But the you can take care of like your ideal user first, and then apply that to the people that do the job with that person. And then you can spend time with the next group of people and apply it to that group. And then those outliers, you can sit down and make time for them as you go. You don't have to take it all away at the same time. We have a Squire. Squire,
I love the fact Squire's like, hi. I was going to say, and then you could put those permissions in a permission set group. And then Michael wrote in the chat, can I give my hot take on why I don't like perm set groups? So I'm like, I don't now mention perm set groups.
There's a lot. And I think
And
the overarching theme here, Michael and Squire, hold on, is that there is no perfect framework, but there is a framework to start with, and then you need to decide what to do with it. And Linda, oh my gosh. So Squire, you had your hand up first.
I just want to offer to Katie, this has got to be really hard to have a whole bunch of people that you respect say there's no right answer, but that is 100% true.
Yeah.
Go into this knowing it's not going to be right, that you have a strategic plan to get there and you're willing to stop and refactor and start again. It's just part of the job. You might start out thinking it's one permission and a delete permission and realize you've got 100. You might find the other way back. But I am, if I do this right, I don't know, like if this were easy, you wouldn't be asking this question. The confidence that you bring is in how you attack it, how you communicate it, and your willingness to be able to say, I'm going to clear the whiteboard and start again. We missed something, we misunderstood something, we learned something. That's all I wanted to say is be okay with not knowing where you're headed.
Yeah. I mean, are the interviews, do we make the interviews as tedious as
No.
it is setting it up? Because I worry about their patience and we're like, what about this?
You can also give them a spreadsheet. You
Oh,
can also give them a list of the things. Michael, you had one more comment. You have 30 seconds.
Okay, I'll just be quick. My hot take on permission set groups, because now's the time. Well, actually, I'm going to start with Pat showed his list of permission sets, and my suggestion there is start everything with the same prefix so they sort together in list views. Could be
I
the name
did.
of your org or an abbreviation for your org. Could be A, so they're all at the top of the list view. I like that one.
I did. I just didn't show it.
Okay, you're good. So permission set groups. So they have one interesting feature, which is muting permissions.
oh, wait.
But don't forget that muting permissions does not apply across permission set groups. So
Don't use them.
be useless, gets overridden. So therefore, I recommend don't use permission set groups, build your stack of permission sets and apply them using user access policies. And
There you go.
I checked that with Cheryl Feldman and she agreed with me. User access policies are newer than permission set groups.
Whoa. What?
Okay. Now, come on. We can't open the can of worms here.
Don't confuse Squire.
Maybe we should have a podcast on that.
No, I'm done. with
Another
permissions.
one?
Sorry.
I'm done. Linda, you get 30 seconds. Squire, you have to wait.
I was just going to say, Katie, for those one-off people, it's okay for them to get a permission set outside of that structure if you need to.
Okay. Thank
True
you.
story. Scott, you have your hand up?
I did. I just wanted to say that I appreciate the conversation because when I think about this transition, even though on my team, I'm probably going to not be the one who's completely involved, but I've been thinking about it for two years. And as I consider it, I feel completely overwhelmed. And I think one of the things that I've taken away from this conversation is that I have a tendency to overthink things. And so I'm sort of feeling like as I step back from this conversation and think about it, maybe I'm thinking about it a little too hard. And it's possible that I should potentially just kind of take a step back, kind of to what Stuart said, and say, start with one and see where that goes. I mean, and I'm not suggesting that that's true for you at all. I'm just saying that for me, that's what I've been wrestling with for the past however many years. Salesforce has been saying they're going to make this happen. So, but I'm learning that I'm overthinking it and a lot of other things too, but this in particular. So thanks. I appreciate the conversation.
Thank you, everyone. Sorry to hog up so much time.
You're right. Lizelle is not here. And I really wanted to talk to her about her scheduled trigger flow on contact. But Squire got in trouble with Cheryl previously on access policy. So this is a conversation that you
so
can have with
angry.
Cheryl at Dreamforce, Squire.
So
Just-
angry.
Just it's okay. Cheryl, we love you. We just need clarity. Cheryl, we're coming for you at Dreamforce. Squire and I are gonna talk to you. It'll be great. So I don't know if any of you got a chance to read Lizelle's thing. If you have not, please take a look. I'm gonna pop the Trailblazer community into the chat because Richard Kane is on the call and does have follow-up information from last go round. Christy, you ratted him out. Sorry, Richard.
It's okay.
There's Christy and Richard know each other, so
Yeah.
that's why it's
And I
okay.
feel like we should give Richard a cheer for being here.
Yay! Tell us more, Richard. Follow up from last week.
Yeah, so I think Christy kind of told you the bulk of it. I have a flow that creates multiple records at once. And then I have another flow that if these records are have the right criteria, they go into an approval process. It's the new flow approval process that Salesforce just released recently. The issue that I was running into is that I'm creating, and it's not a real world scenario. It just happened because I was testing crazily, as one does. And I'm creating multiple records at once that all go into this approval process. But when I go to these records, the approval record that is associated with, let's call it record A, approval A is not on that record. I see approval B. And then when I go to record B, I see approval C on that record. And then when I go to record C, I see approval A. I was told by Christy that I should move this to a sandbox that has winter 26, so I could better show this to you guys. Except I cannot, for the life of me, reproduce this in winter 26. So my update is that I think it works in winter 26. I'm happy to show you guys if you want, but basically when I create multiple records at the same time in my current sandbox, the approvals get assigned randomly. But when I do it in winter 26, they do not.
Thank you, Joy, for that suggestion for him to move it over to winter 26.
Yeah, I still feel like that's worth, like, I don't know, I just don't trust it. Like, it's fixed, but due to something that no one has ever said has changed in 26 seems dicey. Like, I would want to at least talk to the flow team and be like, should this be fixed in 26? Because otherwise,
I tried going to Salesforce support. They kept coming back to me and saying that this was not an issue. This works as expected. I kept trying to tell them there's no way that Salesforce meant for this to be intentional. But it never really went anywhere. So like I said, I can show you guys, but like I said, I can't reproduce it in my 26 sandbox. So maybe it just works now. I don't know.
It just works now. It's great.
All right, I missed this. Was this a regular old style approval process or a new flow approval process? The
New
one?
flow approval process.
with the flow the approval orchestration.
Yeah, there are some funky things I've found with it. Just like trying to get the next step to run as my approver runs into problems too.
In both 25 and 26?
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
Like I can get my I can't remember the naming right now, but like the build automation, the auto launch flow, I can get that to run as my auto process user, but I can't get it to run as the person who did the approval. And I think it's just I'm passing the wrong thing, but I'm not sure what I'm supposed to pass there because it's not really clear from the documentation whether it's ID or like the whole user record. And it
Richard, didn't that
sounds like
flow
it
have a
might
different
even-
weird ID? Like it was changed? Not just the user ID, but like something else? Because I can't remember what you did with that.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
The other thing I noticed is you have to be really careful within your stage about what the start thing is for each step, what the thing that triggers each step is. But as for it assigning randomly versus who it's, yeah, that's, I have no idea. I'm
Yeah.
assigning
Well,
to a
and
group.
did we determine it's not random, it's just like an off by one array kind of situation?
It is random because sometimes like A gets B, B gets C, C gets A. Sometimes A gets B, B gets A, but C gets C.
Sure.
And
Oh,
yeah,
Yeah, and we checked that it's not, you're not passing a resorted array into the loop, are you? It's like you get your records, then the loop that you're acting on, you're not sorting them in a weird, unique way or something, right? Because I mean, that would be the other thing.
no, there is no loop. The way the flow is set up actually is that they the different record variables have their own variable.
Got it.
And then we put it all into a single collection, create all those records at once.
Yep.
And then the other flow just runs when those records are created with the right criteria.
And last question, I saw a hand go up. From the creation sequence, is the date stamp of the created, you'd probably have to look at the microsecond. Is that the order that the approvals are aligning, or is it really random? Like I just feel like what's happening is like you think you're putting in A and then B and then C, but it's actually committing as B and then C and then A, and that's why you're getting that sequence. But the only way to know that is some timestamp to understand when they commit. But anyway, where did I saw a hand and I don't know where it was.
It was me. And I too, Emma, couldn't find how to raise my hand, but I found it eventually. I was like, where is? That's why I was like, oh. Is there any way you can assign an order to your collection? So that would be how it would be applying the record into the approval process, if that makes any sense.
I think I mean, based on how the flow is set up, the records are added to the collection in the same order every time.
Right, but it's not applying the appropriate approval process or relations.
Yeah, but
Right,
that's
there's a
happening after commit, right? The approval process triggers after the record's committed. It's not part of the actual flow, right?
Correct. Two separate flows, one that creates the record and then one that puts it into an approval process when the record is created with the right criteria.
Right, and that's where I'm thinking, I wonder if you assign something to control the order to maintain that relationship and pass the relationship that it should be connected to on the approval process as part of that subflow handoff. Again, not knowing and seeing, I am conceptually speaking to it.
So there's a record triggered flow that is being called when the one record is created. There's a record triggered flow being called to create the approval process.
It's the new flow approval process.
Okay.
But you're doing both are record triggered flows.
One's a stream flow.
All right, Richard.
I guess there's a couple of things I'm just wondering about. One, is this a bulkification? Is this a bulkification issue? You're sending a bunch of records at once, and for whatever reason, the bulkification isn't happening correctly in the flow that's called. The other thing is that I've had some issues at times where when I create a record, unless there's like a stop, like a screen or something, that record isn't completely set until something happens. And there's various ways around this, like there's pauses, there's like a pause you can throw in there and some other things, but I'm wondering if there's a chance, I'm just guessing, but is there a chance that the records you create aren't completely set at the point that approval process is being created? And then when it goes and creates approval per process, it sort of does things at random because of the way those records are set. I'm guessing. I don't know, but I've had some pretty significant issues with that, especially with subflows.
I hear what you're saying. I want to say that they are set because the flow creates the record and then the other flow runs when the record is created. So
I've had issues where I've tried to call a subflow right after a record was created. And for whatever reason, that record, the information in that record didn't necessarily make it to the subflow. And what was really sinister is that at one point I had the record created and then I threw a screen in there because I wanted to see what was being created. And then I called this subflow and I had that in for the entire development process. And then I went to like get ready to put it into prod and I deleted that screen, stopped working because that record wasn't on disk or whatever. It was still virtual. Like I said, I don't know if this is the same problem, but it is something that I've run into before.
I want to say no, just because it's not a subflow.
Yep.
But I hear you.
Okay. So,
Flow is ending, those are fully committed, that's for sure.
What do you say?
Is that if the flow has ended and that update or that insert has happened before the next record trigger flow triggers, then you know they're fully committed. Versus like the subflow, you still have that
But
added but not committed state.
so he's got a screen flow that is creating these records to begin with, right?
Right.
Correct.
Is the insert the last part of that screen flow? Like, is that the last element, or is there an element after the create records?
There is a screen afterwards. So there is more to the screen flow.
Because I mean, seriously, the record triggered flow on that is going to run before your screen flow is done then.
True. The only part of it that's left. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, video kicked in because I clicked the link. Sorry, keep going.
No worries. The only part that's afterwards is adding files to those created records. So we get those records again that we created, and then we have a screen to upload files, but we're not doing anything to those records.
I assume the existence of those files has nothing to do with which approval process they should go through.
Correct. Yeah, it works in 26. So
Wait, so we fixed it. Good job. High five, everybody.
We will have fixed it.
That's true.
Just tell everybody the fix is coming tonight from 8 to 8:05, and you should be fine.
Yep.
They're funny. You guys are funny. All right, Lizelle is not here, and I want to talk about her thing.
I think her thing was, I was trying to read it while we were talking. I think it was solved in the community thread.
Man, I love that you know that.
It was a lot to process, so I'm not certain.
No, it says, appreciate you
pretty
catching
sure.
that. I was crazy until you mentioned that admin error. We have automation in place. Yay. So, let's recap real quick.
Good luck.
In the screenshot of orders, the 3 listed has a surgical date of null. Is there something there? And the records where surgical date wasn't blank and it looks to have been updated to your lifesaver. So she's all set. So we're done.
It sounded like the flow worked, but she was looking at a record that pre-existed.
That's fantastic. That's
Oh, yeah.
fantastic. Steve, is your dog okay? Did your dog have to come back in? We're all good there.
Yeah, totally fine.
Because Taco had to come in while I was like,
Oh.
we were in the middle of things too.
Well, except for the missing leg. We haven't found the missing leg yet.
I love that. Love it. I love it. Pat, what is up, Pat?
Okay, I have this question.
You have 9 minutes.
All right, real quick. Went to sign my permission set. I got the error that this Salesforce license doesn't allow the permission of use inbox. So where is use inbox?
So inbox, Salesforce inbox,
I guess.
Salesforce inbox is an added product, right?
Emma's
was
got her hand
great,
waving.
shaking her hand.
Yeah. Emma, what do you got? Did you hang up by accident, Emma? Or was she waving goodbye? Oh,
He was waving goodbye.
Okay. Sorry, Linda, go ahead.
So inbox, I think like you have to assign it, right?
Yeah.
I see
Yes.
Clayton nodding.
But
So-
when I went to company info, blah, 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 it wasn't there. What'd you say,
Well-
Clayton?
It's a special license.
Yeah.
And you have to do both the permission set and have enough license.
There is a
Which-
use inbox checkbox under the app permissions in a permission set. I just went and checked.
It's probably, yeah, so it's probably not where you're looking, but there's definitely where it's in app permissions, right?
Yep.
Yep.
I can share my
Okay.
screen.
Yeah, please.
I mean, I went into it and
Ah,
I did
okay.
this. And it's there.
Great. What would I do without you guys?
Well, you would be having, snacks with someone else, I guess. I don't know.
I'd be still looking.
Results, yay!
I mean, is Katie still on? This is part of the whole like muddle through, right? Like
Mhm.
you make your permission set and then you try to assign it to someone and it's like, oh damn, they're on a different license type and I can't assign this set. So or this permission set. And so now I have to make another one that's specific for platform users because it excludes this, that, and the other thing.
Mhm.
It's just a pain in the ass.
I think this is
well,
a great
I
example too.
think-
We've talked about that as you're doing this, especially on a large scale, keep what you've got, build adjacent so you can flip back and forth. Like don't iterate on your existing perms and profiles. Build a brand new one. So you can be like, oh, it doesn't work. Switch back. We're back to square one versus trying to reverse engineer or undeploy, right?
Yep.
Sorry, Linda.
It's okay. I also feel like in that work, one of the big hurdles was trying to figure out like when you're creating the permission set, do you need to include a license or not?
Yeah.
Especially like if you want to include tab visibility or not, you have to, but sometimes you don't.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely found that I kind of had to have, I am having a base permission set for all my clients. I kind of had to have a full user base and a platform user base, and then or I had to have a base that's common for everyone, and then this is the thing that full users get that platform users don't need, or vice versa. I don't even remember now.
Yep. We did the same. In fact, we had a conversation at one point about a permission set assigned to a license that literally has no permissions to effectively make sure that, well, if they're one of those license users, let's start there and then everything else should work. Now, it doesn't work quite that well, but we had a conversation about it. So.
See, you learn something new and then you try again. And
Yep.
you just try again. Just keep throwing spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. Just sometimes you know what noodles to pick and sometimes you don't. And so it's okay. Does anyone have any other questions? All right, hold on. Hold on. Reach. I can't reach it, you guys.
Can
All right.
someone get me stickers at Dreamforce? There's my question.
I don't know how many there's going to be. Sustainability and all, they got to keep things green.
If you find it.
And with that in mind, I definitely was like, screw this. I got Halloween friends.
Nice.
So we've got the Bat Astro, and we've got Dracula Cody. And so my friends are here, and I think there's like Cody socks, Dracula Cody socks somewhere, which
don't you have pumpkin spice Astro?
no, that was going to delay shipping. Forget that. Yeah, but that's a different shipment, Linda. But these aren't for me. They're going to someone in the Chicago admin group because we have a meeting on the 30th in the tower to talk about Dreamforce recap. So there you go. No one else has any questions, exciting things?
Who's all going to the Chicago Agent Force World Tour?
That's in
Because
December. That's in
yeah,
December.
I think I'm going to come to Chicago because I have to visit the in-laws sometime. And it's been a hot minute since we've seen each other, Joy. So
Well, I will tell you, get your room now because rooms near McCormick Place will skyrocket.
oh, I'll be in Oak Park, so
Well, then you don't have to worry about lodging, but rooms downtown will skyrocket because inevitably World Tour will not be the only thing going on in the city. And the closer you are to McCormick Place, the better. Anyhow, there we go.
How many Dreamforcers?
Anyone going to Dreamforce? I need to see.
Oh, can
Fantastic.
I pitch my mental health and illness user group meetup?
Please.
Yeah, just pop it in the chat. We'll be there.
Yeah, Dreamfest. If you want to not do Dreamfest and do a concert, we're gonna have a low-key game night with some coloring and a little bit of door prizes. So I'll be up at the lounge at the Marriott Marquis. I'll try to drop the link in there.
There you go. Or just go to the Marriott Marquis on Wednesday. So fantastic. All right. If you're there and you're looking for me, I'll be on the 3rd floor of Moscone West. And if I'm not there, I'm sleeping. So that's all the good stuff. All right, we'll see you all on the 24th back here.
Yep.
Unless we see you at Dreamforce. Squire and I will be there. Squire's got some fancy swag that he's going to be sporting. I'm so excited to see it.
It got canceled. I'm
Damn.
sorry. We were going to do cool T-shirts, and they're not going to be here in time. So
We'll have them for next time. So thanks everybody for joining us today, and we'll see you on the 24th. And maybe we'll have our swag by January or something.
bye. Have a good weekend.
Bye, friends.
You're awesome. All of you are awesome.
Bye. Thanks for joining us. Bye, everybody. Bye. And Clayton is always like the last. Steve Mo.